What up, YouTube? Ed WeskerGriff coming back with a mail day recap video. Have several pickups for the Game of Thrones collection to show off. Season 8 from Rittenhouse Archives recently got released a couple weeks ago, so I've been trying to periodically pick up some cards as they get listed on eBay if the price is right. And also, I do have a couple slabs to show off. Some PSA, one PSA slab and 2 black tuxedos from SGC. So some really neat stuff, and recently that kind of goes into the conversation that a lot of people have been having in the community recently here on YouTube, but also more predominantly on Facebook in the various Facebook groups of talking about third-party grading and the unique situation that we're currently in with PSA and Beckett being closed, and also SGC being open in Boca Raton, Florida. So they are still open for business since they're in Florida. So a lot of people have been discussing that and what the impact could be within the hobby. So it's been really great stuff. Been enjoying the conversation. And towards the end of the video, I'm going to drop my opinion, drop my hard truth on this whole situation. So we'll get into that a little later, but before I show off any of the cards, I do want to give a big shout out to an old school YouTuber, an OG tuber, one of the first people I've ever watched on here, who has recently started making more videos more consistently, and that is Mr. PuffBear359. So I'm going to leave his link down below. Please go check him out. One of the, like I said, old school YouTubers on here. Really great guy, insane Yankees collection and Don Mattingly collection. So if you want to check out an old school tuber and have a laugh and see some great cards during a video, check out Puff Bear. You will not be disappointed. One of the all-time greats in this community. But now, on to the Game of Thrones. Let's show off some cards. This is a dual autograph card from Season 8. Managed to snag this for 20 bucks, which is a really nice price. We got a dual autograph card here of 2 characters from Season 8 who a lot of people really didn't like. We have Euron Greyjoy, and then we have Captain Harry Strickland. So, got those 2 for the set. That's my first autograph of Harry Strickland, but he was kind of a NPC character, I guess you could say, for Season 8. Dave and Dan just kind of threw him in there. He's more developed in the books, as is Euron. Euron's a totally different character in the books, but both the actors did a great job in the role, so wanted to add that into the Thrones collection. And then this next card here, this was one of the cards I was eyeing up for Season 8 because I'll get into it a little later, but Season 8 from Rittenhouse Archives is definitely, I have a lot of gripes about the release, what Rittenhouse did, and I'll get into that a little after I show this, but here's the card. It is an inscription autograph, and Rittenhouse did a lot of different inscription autographs this year, but it is of Jerome Flynn, who plays Sir Bronn of the Blackwater. So that's the inscription there, Sir Bronn of the Blackwater. Really, really great card, and thrilled to add it into the collection. But in regards to Season 8 from Rittenhouse Archives, I just feel like they did a huge disservice to any set collector. Basically what they did was they have like over 40 plus autograph cards that are considered scarce. So what that means is they only made around 15 to 10 copies of the card. So there's a lot of Game of Thrones fans out there, and there's a lot of non-sports collectors out there. So it's going to be nearly impossible to set collect for this. Never mind that they made like 5 to 6 autographs of the same person with just different inscriptions, some of which aren't really relevant to the character. But it's just really, really frustrating as someone who set collected the various autograph sets throughout the years, and then to get to the finish line and then they make it pretty much impossible to do. So I won't be doing Season 8 collecting all the autographs from that, but I will try to add specific cards that I really, really want to add to the collection. They did make some really, really great cards in Season 8. It's just that they made it pretty much impossible to set collect. So a little bit frustrating, but what can you do? They still did a fantastic job with the product, and they still made a lot of great cards in the time that they had the license. But the other Game of Thrones card here, this is the one, the PSA slab. This is from 2012 Game of Thrones. This is all the way back from Season 1. This is a Gem Mint 10 of King Robert Baratheon. So I was able to pick this up for $10. So pretty much what it cost to get graded. And it's in the old PSA slab. So I'm assuming that this got sent into PSA around the time of Season 2 or maybe in the beginning of Season 3. So right during the prime years of Game of Thrones. So really, really cool card there. Kind of a central character to the show. One that kicks off a lot of the events of the show. And then the next two cards are both black tuxedos. The first card here is from 2019 Topps Heritage. This is a rookie Gem 10 of Pete Alonso. So really sweet card. Did not have this in raw form or any slabbed form. And was able to snag this for $16. Seller had it up there for $25. Buy it now or best offer with free shipping. And I've been noticing a huge uptick in buy it nows with best offer. So if shooting offers out to sellers is your thing, I highly encourage you guys to do that. You can really save a lot of money that way. And there's a ton of sellers out there right now who are just looking to move cards and get some instant money from when you buy it now. Because with an auction, you have to wait a couple days and then you have to wait for the buyer to pay. But with buy it nows, it's instantaneous. So I've been finding a lot of more successes that with the best offers. And if you guys watch my videos, you know throughout the years, pretty much all the Game of Thrones cards I've added into my collection have been via best offer. And then this final card here is a huge card. It's one of my favorite players of all time, and it's a Gem Mint example of their rookie card. I do have this card in a PSA Mint 9, but I'm thrilled to add a gem copy into the collection. And value-wise, I feel it's one of my best value purchases in quite a while. But this is from 1997 Bowman Chrome. This is the rookie in a Gem 10 of Roy Doc Holliday. So one of my favorite players of all time. Just beyond ecstatic to add this card into the collection. And I doubled down on the savings on this card because at the time I had a 10% eBay coupon, and then on top of that I had the 5% eBay bucks. So I was able to save quite a bundle. I saved around like $35 to $40 on this card. So I paid a total of $180 for this card. And I did check the database after I got the card in SGC's database, and this is only a pop of 5. So there's only 5 Gem 10s in the black tuxedos, and there's 39s. So the 9 to 10 ratio is quite lopsided for SGC, but it's even more a little lopsided for PSA. And actually did a little price comparison between the Gem 10s and the black tuxedos and the Gem 10s and the PSA holders. And when you hear the price differential, it's pretty insane. So the last 4 PSA 10s to sell on the Doc Holliday rookie in the Chrome were $565.55, $350, $500, and $565.55. Now, obviously, the price differential between paying $180 to paying almost $500, that's pretty nuts. And what I thought was really interesting was the $565.55. Those were the only 2 auctions of the card, and coincidentally, they were from the same auction house. They were both from Womp Womp, PWCC. So I thought that was kind of conspicuous. And they both sold for the same amount at auction, $565.55, and they were weeks apart. So not a shocker to anyone who collects that PWCC might be into some scandalous shilbit in there, but just figured you guys would appreciate that little tidbit. But I think it comes down to why is there such a huge price fluctuation on these cards? And it is true that PSA has the premium resale value for their cards, but as long as I've been in this hobby, SGC has always had the reputation of maybe grading a little more difficult than PSA. That's doubly so true for vintage and for pre-war. They've been known as the masters with grading those cards. They don't really have the reputation for modern. I tend to think that is starting to change a little bit because you're seeing a lot more people sending into SGC modern card wise, but they grade very, very strictly. And I've been reading people putting on the various Facebook groups and even in the PSA submission groups that SGC doesn't really have tough grading standard, and that is so far from the truth. They have very strict standards when it comes to grading. And when I was surprised that this card was even up here, seeing the price differential, because most of the time you'll get someone that'll just buy this card to crack it out and to cross it over to PSA. And if I crack this card out and send it over, I mean, you probably have like a 90% chance of getting the PSA 10. And the reason I don't say 100%, I say 90% is because sometimes maybe PSA, I don't know, this card is super, super expensive. Maybe they might be a little more stringent that they were years ago that they are on the card now, if that makes sense, if you understand what I'm saying. But just thrilled to add it into the collection. And I hope everyone out there is doing well. Another thing I really want to talk about in regards to third-party grading, which I haven't really seen a lot of people talk about, is that PSA right now has 1 million card backlog and they're closed. PSA has known for, I'm going to say, over 2 years that they had a key infrastructure problem with having card backlogs. I mean, I've been getting in group submissions for PSA for, it has to be at least 3 years. And I remember the times when they ran specials where they were trying to drum up business. But grading has really, really, really exploded, I would say, within the last 3 years. It's really gone haywire, kind of. I mean, all the submissions that are being sent into Beckett and all the submissions being sent into PSA and SGC. So you're seeing a huge uptick in grading, and PSA just cannot. They can't seem to handle all these bulk submission orders. And I hear people say all the time that the reason why they can't handle the submission orders is because they don't have enough graders, and the training process to become a grader takes around roughly 6 to 8 months. But as I said, this has been a core issue for 2 years. There's been backlogs for 2 years, and I just don't see PSA changing their habits. They're happy with the status quo. They have a take it or leave it approach, which is really bad for customer service, and it's really bad for us, the collectors who want to get our cards encapsulated. So that's why I think it's imperative, and I think it's great if another company can really come along and start shaking their cage and start getting them to move their ass and to start spending their profits and having a bigger presence. Because PSA is a huge company. They're the industry leader, and they're not acting like the industry leader. They should have more facilities around the country to do the grading process. They should have more graders on staff. I think they only have like 20 graders on the payroll. That's crazy to me. They should have at least 100. It's just really frustrating, and I never see anyone bring this up. They just refuse to spend money. Recently at the National and at the Philly show, especially at the Philly show, people were waiting 4 hours in line. They had 3 workers there, and you're talking about a major show. You're talking about one of the bigger shows on the East Coast, and they have such a measly, such a weak appearance at the show. Like SGC, they have a stronger presence at the show, and Beckett has a stronger presence at the show. But PSA, like, it's like 1 worker per 100 people. It's just like, it doesn't make sense to me. You want to expand the brand. You want to become bigger. You want to, you're not going to be able to get bigger. You're not going to be able to get more business if you only have X amount of people to process orders. And my fear is that with this coronavirus, with their shutdown, I mean, it's going to take them, like, you might not get your cards back till like December of 2021. I mean, and it's embarrassing. It's fucking embarrassing. Pardon my French, but it's just embarrassing that a company that's supposed to be the industry leader is struggling to do the basic things. So, and again, if you're watching this video and you're hearing me kind of rant a little bit and you're thinking, why am I bashing PSA? It's just not I'm bashing. I care. I care a lot about it, and I want them to start acting like the big boys that they're supposed to be. So that's kind of how I think. That's kind of how I feel. That's the hard truth coming from me. And leave a comment down below. Tell me what you think. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people that disagree, and maybe there's some people who agree, but Joe Orlando, come on, man. Like, let's get moving. Start getting more bodies in the warehouse. Maybe purchase another warehouse in the Midwest or on the East Coast. You know, have more grading facilities. I mean, it's just common sense. Expand the business. Expand it. Be the industry leader. So that's all I got for you guys. Have a great one. Yeah, tell me what you think.